Hey guys, so in this video I'll quickly show you how to make this simple Wordle GUI game. So you can type in a 5-letter word like gamer. It also doesn't let you enter if it's under 5 letters or if it's not a word. It gives you the answer and it says how long it took, 48 seconds. If you do get it correctly, it tells you how many tries it took you and how long it took you in seconds. So this is just a simple way to learn how the GUI works using Java Swing. So like the panels, the frames, all that stuff. So before we get into it, I just want to mention that I make game dev videos every week and coding videos, programming. So if you want to improve your skills in any of that, make sure to subscribe. I also respond to any comments and I'll make a video on a certain topic if you want it. So comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Here first I have all the imports. You can pause the video whenever to write stuff down, and I'll also have a GitHub link in the description. We have an action listener, so we know when you either clicked enter or when you press enter on your keyboard. And I have these private static variables, a bunch for like the JPanel, the frame, labels, text fields. The text field is what you type in, and I just called it user text. The array of labels, which is like each of these texts is in that array. A bunch of other stuff. Don't worry about the color stuff. This is just for the system.outprint, so I can print with color. This is just most of the GUI code. I'll get it started with this. Create a panel, and I also create a frame and set it to a new frame. So this is just some setup stuff. You set the size of the frame.set size. This is how big your screen is. So I have it 220 pixels by 300. That's just what I chose. You can set this to bigger or smaller or whatever. This is just so that it closes properly. You also set the title here. I set it to GUI. You can set it to Wordle or whatever you want. I'm not sure what this does. Just have it in here and add the frame to the panel, or add the panel to the panel. This is just simple setup stuff. So now the panel, set the layout and set the title equal to a new JLabel called Wordle. That is what this thing is here. And you write title.setBounds. So here you have the x coordinate of it, the y coordinate, the width, and the height. So I have it at x10, y20 down, and I have it 80 by 25 pixels. This is in pixels. So then set stats. I just have this called stats because by default at the start it says type a 5-letter word. And then once you're finished, it changes it to the stats, like how many seconds it took you and how many tries and stuff. Then you can set the bounds as well. So then the user text, I have this thing by default at this location. Don't worry about this weird math stuff here, just set it to 80. And I also add an action listener to it, so it listens for you to press enter. So if you're typing here and you press enter, it will like go to the next line and check the word. Next I have this J button here, and this just says enter. I set the bounds, add an action listener, and add the button to the panel. That's this enter button. I have this array of labels, 6 labels, which is each of these words, the 6 words. And each of them, you do this. You set the font and color, and you can also set the bounds. The first one is at this. The next one, since it's the I plus 1, is at this height, and it multiplies the I by 25. So each one is 25 pixels apart. I felt pretty smart when I thought of this. So it spaces them out, and then it sets the frame to visible. So if you have it open in another window or something, it puts the frame on top. And then we run the start Wordle command. So start Wordle, this is just some simple start stuff. We make a array of strings that's 12,000 long. So this is just some code that turns this other file, Wordle words. It just turns this file, which you can get in my GitHub, it just turns it into an array of strings. I'm not going to go over how this works. I don't really understand it. I copied it from my teacher. So then it also sets the start time to the current millis in the console here. Wordle type a 5-letter word, because I just have this debugging stuff. And it sets the answer chosen equal to a random word. Don't worry about this. This just gives you a random 5 long character array. And for each of them, it just sets the answer chosen, it puts each of these characters and sets the input to a 5-character array. So now here, I'll zoom out. So end Wordle, I'll go over this quickly. It's system.out prints some facts, sets the place where you type to invisible so that you don't see it, like you can't type here. It sets it to disabled. And then here, it just, it gives you this little message here. If you lost, it says you wasted 48 seconds. If you won, it says it took you this many seconds and this many tries. So you can see how I did that here. Pause the video whenever, or look at my GitHub. The code in here gets run every time you press enter. So it runs the enter word method. So in enter word, it first checks if it's a valid word, and with this method you input the word, which is usertext.1.getText. This gets the text in our text box. So if you type something, this is how to get it. And you also input the array of possible words into this. I'll go over it in a sec. And then you run the method button pressed. So if it's not a valid word, it doesn't continue on, and it goes as if you didn't press the button. So in button pressed, first it sets the bounds to entries plus 1 on the y times 25 plus 80. So this just moves it down a step. So when you press enter, it moves the text box down over here, and then you press enter and it moves the text box down over here. So that's what this does. Some sneaky code. And then the string user input is set equal to our text box text. So we can just reference user input when we're looking at the word that we inputted. So if you type gamer and press enter, this is equal to gamer. And then we also have this array of ints that's the color of our letters. So like black, green, black, yellow, yellow, which you'll see in a sec. And this is set equal to our play Wordle with the user input. I'll go over this in a sec as well. So this just gets up the color of what each letter should be. And then we set done equal to true. And then we check if each letter is green, which means equal to I equals 2, then it's done. But if not, then it's not done. Done is equal to false. And also if our tries is more than 5, then we'll end the Wordle. So if we're either done or we've spent too many tries, then we'll end the Wordle. Then we have a string that's called numbers to colors, and it's equal to a string that's in length 5. And if the color of the letter is 0, then it's black. If the color of the letter integer is equal to 1, then it's orange. If it's 2, it's green. Then it just sets the final string to, the final string is just a single word like that. It sets it equal to, this is the first letter, and it makes this is not the first letter. This is the color of the first letter, and then this is the first letter. Don't worry about this kind of stuff, you can just copy it. But it sets this letter to this color, and then the second letter to the second color, the third letter to the third color. So it works like that. And then we set the label to this final string that we've made here. And we also set user1.setText to nothing. So when you press enter and you've entered a word, the text box gets emptied. So now in play Wordle, we set done equal to false. We add tries, and string r1, we set it equal to the input Wordle word .to lowercase. So it lowercases it so it's not case sensitive. And then if it's not a valid word, then we don't do anything. But if it is a valid word, then we set our input character array to each of the characters in that string. And then we check if each of these, then we set the answer equal to the answer chosen.char. So we just reset the answer and we return the return color of letters. So I'll get into this here. We just have a set next label. So this goes to the label array and sets the one at index tries -1 to the string that we input. So now return color of letters. This is the main Wordle stuff. I'll go through this quickly because I've made a previous video on it that you can check out, but this just first it checks for any green letters, then it checks for any yellow letters, and then it sets the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 either to 0, 1, or 2. 0 is gray, 1 is yellow, and 2 is green. And then it returns this array which indicates the color of each of the letters. Now we have the method isValidWord. So here you input your input and you also input a string of all the possible words, which is like the 12,000 words I have here. And if the input length is less than 1, then we return false. Then after that we check if it's equal to one of the words, like at least one of the words in the list. And then we return true if it is. If it's still not, we return false. And now return random word. This is just code, again, that I didn't really make, but this just turns the answer list to an array. And then we get a random one from there, and we return that random word from that array, from here. No, from here. We just return a random word. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helped you. If you want any other tutorials, let me know, leave a comment, and I hope you have a great day.